I am going to be taking this canvas and using acrylic paints and just adding to it and kind of talking you through the process. All right. So I had to go live on Instagram as well. So I should be live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and maybe even my personal Facebook. So if you're watching me, definitely drop me a comment, say hi, tell me where you're watching from. And if this is a repost, still drop me a comment. Where are you watching from? I'd love to know. So anyway, I am really excited to be on here today. And I am going to, like I said, be using some different size brushes. I've got my napkin, I've got my water cup, not because I'm thirsty to clean my brushes. And then I've got my acrylic paints. And I'm going to go ahead and readjust you just a little so that the main focus is on the pumpkin and less so on me. All right, so I am going to start with my biggest brush. And I never painted a background on this. I was actually using this as a demo piece more just for the added details. I had already painted my background on when I was painting this with a group, and they wanted a white pumpkin on that one, but some people wanted an orange pumpkin, so I just got right into the orange pumpkin on this. Never painted a background because I had already painted a background on the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and take some white paint, add a little bit of teal in there just for fun, and I'm going to start working on getting my background painted first. So if you have a canvas at home and maybe you just want to change it up a little bit, right? You want to refresh it, give it a boost, give it a makeover, right? Maybe you've enjoyed seeing it how it was, and now you want to see it differently. So I went ahead and I did my edges, and I'm going to come in here super careful. I chose such a light color, so that way it's not such a big deal if I get a little bit of paint where it doesn't belong, like in spaces where I've already painted. It's real easy to kind of fix an oopsie if you go in with a light color versus trying to go in with a dark color. So I'm going to work on this. Now it's going to be a little tricky to get around this loop-de-loop. So again, if I get a little bit on there, who cares? I will fix that later, right? I'm going to worry more about the edge of my pumpkin and less about my little loop-de-loop vine here. There we go. And I'm using a 3/4 inch brush right now. But of course, whatever size canvas you're working on, that's kind of more the size brush that you want to focus on for yourself. All right. I'm just kind of going in and adding a little pop of light teal down here in these blank spaces. So I'm going to get in there. I'm trying to just use the corner of my brush instead of the whole brush, so that way I can kind of sneak in some of these gaps. And again, I know I'm getting paint where I shouldn't, and that's because typically you should do your background first. But like I said, oh, here it is. I had already created this background when I was teaching the class. And so, but not everybody wanted a white pumpkin. Some people wanted an orange pumpkin. So that is why I'm coming in now. And because I never did my background on this one, because I did that other background. Hopefully this is all making sense. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of straight turquoise now, but I left all of the light turquoise in my brush. I'm just going to kind of hit these edges just to give it a little bit of depth. If I go in and darken up my edges just a smidge, to me, anytime you can have like a light, medium, and dark, it's going to make your artwork look a little bit more interesting than if it's just all one flat color. Now, that's my personal opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. That's what makes the world go round, right? So now we've hit the edges, and we've darkened them up just a little bit. Okay. So then I was thinking, how fun would it be to go in and start layering in more colors on these flowers. Okay. So I'm going to switch to my medium pointy brush and I'm going to work on just adding some curved brush strokes in here. Okay. There we go. So I'm kind of brightening up this flower a little. All right. Then I'm going to add just straight white, but I've left the red in the brush and I'm going to curve that in there. So now I'm creating a lighter version of my red, which is pink. And then I'll come in with a darker version. So the way you want to darken up your red is you grab a little bit of green, mix that in with your red, and then you can have a darker red. Pretty cool, right? That's because green is red's complement. So it's going to darken it up in a really nice way. If I were to have used black to do that, it would have totally like kind of gone to the purple side. Now, this orange blends too much, I think, with this. So what if we totally change the color of that flower? I'm going to show you another cool complementary trick. If I take, and I got to make sure my brush is dry, a little bit of purple and mix that in with some of my yellow, I now have more of a mustardy yellow, which is a great fall color, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to pop this in here. Here we go. Ooh, hi. It says, hi, Artsy. I remember going to your school. Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet saying I'm a good painter. Another hi. Oh, thank you guys for leaving comments. Yes, I did used to teach. I started teaching at 20. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 20 years ago this year. That is crazy, guys. I don't feel old enough to have been teaching for 20 years. But anyway, so I put this base yellow on. So that's super boring, guys. Super boring. But if I now go in and I leave the mustard yellow in my brush, but grab some white, I can now pop in some white into my flower, which creates a little bit of depth. We have our light and we have our base. And then if I wanted to, I could add more purple in here. If I go too much purple though, it will go brown. Okay. And then I can put just a little bit of this kind of darker yellow in there. There we go. Okay, so what I was saying is I did teach public school for 20 years ago for 15 years. And then I started Artsy Rose 10 years ago, guys. 10 years. Artsy Rose is 10 years old. And that overlapped teaching art in the elementary classroom and teaching at Artsy Rose. Okay, so for this brown, I need to do a little bit of touch up because I got some turquoise on my stem. So there we go. Just do a little touch up there. And then we've got our loop-de-loop that we need to touch up here, our vine. Here we go. So I've been teaching so long that I have students that have kids. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Crazy. And I've actually even taught some of my students' kids here at the studio. They've brought them to the studio. Okay, so that's just the base brown on my plate. But if I mix a little bit of black in with my brown, it's going to give me a darker brown. There we go. All right. Now, again, just like we have the light in our flowers, we got to have some light in our brown. We can't just have all one base brown. So I'm just popping in a little bit of lighter brown in there. There we go. Oh, thank you for being one of the best teachers of art and stop motion. You're so sweet. We've done stop motion animation camps here at the studio. It's a great, just like base level, just like teach them how to get started. Okay, so now, there we go. My pumpkin. What if we totally go rogue, guys? Go rogue. Why not? What if I took some white and pink and I come in and I add some streaks of that to my pumpkin? Yes, why not? And there we go. So basically I'm holding my brush a little further back. If I hold it on the grippy, my brush strokes are going to be too tight. So if I hold it a little further back, I can have a looser brush stroke. And the goal is for my brush strokes to kind of feather out at the end. Okay. There we go. So sweep, sweep, sweep. It's kind of a sweeping motion that follows the curve of the pumpkin. Probably should have done my pumpkin before I did those flowers, but that's okay. And honestly, I just need to paint over this guy too, and we'll fix him later. So again, this is like just totally taking a canvas I already had and just giving it a little bit of a makeover. Just having some fun. And you know what? It's just acrylic paint. If it doesn't turn out good, you go back and dry, let it dry and then paint it again. You can add lots of layers. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, now that we put a pink top on our pumpkin, yes, what if I go in now and I add maybe some yellow just for fun? So this is going to be an artsy pumpkin, super artsy pumpkin. Here we go. Now, if I go over the yellow too many times, it will blend with the pink and then it will make orange, which is fine. Pumpkins are orange. Okay, now I could go in with a little bit of red and kind of hit where the grooves of the pumpkin would be. So we kind of bring those grooves and outline back just a little bit. Super soft touch, friends, like so soft. Try to be gentle anytime you're painting. Like your brush stroke is gonna, or what am I trying to say? How hard you're pushing your brush down on the canvas is going to determine your brush stroke. Is it going to be thick? Is it going to be thin? So that's something to think about. Okay, so I'm going to sweep a little bit of red down lower. So that's kind of like like we're creating a little bit of shadow, right? A little bit of depth by having some red streaked in down a little bit lower. There we go. We could even have fun and possibly like mix in some blue, maybe just a little bit here and there. So like I said, I am completely making over this pumpkin. I'm just having some fun. Sometimes it's really good for you to just be loose with your art and not stress so much about it. Like not try to make it quite so perfect. And just have fun with it and see where it takes you. And sometimes that allows you, if you let it, to relax a little bit, and then it like opens a whole new door for you. And you can totally find, a new style maybe, or something different to try, some different techniques so that you're not always stuck in doing the same type of art over and over again, right? Here we go. Oh, so fun. So I did like my cooler colors down low, blues and purples. Maybe we'll throw a little turquoise in there because I love turquoise. So why not? Now try to make your brush strokes different lengths. We don't want them all to be the exact same length. We want to, you want some of your brush strokes to be longer, some of them to be shorter. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I love that you're always watching. I appreciate it. Hi, Mila, if you're watching too. Okay. So I think I'm even going to bring some of this turquoise up here. There we go. All right. So now the pumpkin has just gone totally rogue, right? Totally rogue. I love it. I think I'm going to mix some white and turquoise, although I don't want to do too much of that light because then it'll look like the sky is like shown through on our pumpkin since I did a turquoise sky. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to clean this brush. You got to really like wash that thing down in the water cup, really smush those bristles on the bottom of the cup and then dry them. And then all of these guys were supposed to look like it was kind of out in the field. And honestly, if the paint wasn't so, I could put the paint on thicker and I could have totally hid those and gotten rid of them. You know what? Maybe we still will. Let's just see if we can get rid of those things. I don't know. You think we can? We can sure try. So right now I'm popping on some orange back in there. There we go. And then I'm going to put some white on top of that because usually if you can mix some white in with your colors, it's going to make them less see-through. And so it will hide things that you might be trying to hide. The white will. So see, that's kind of hiding all of those dark stems or vines or whatever we want to call those. There we go. See, they're slowly fading away. There we go. What do we think about that? But now that means I got to get rid of them in the background too, huh? Unless we want to pretend that they are in the background. Okay, so we'll let that dry a little bit and we'll work on hiding some of these background vines. Okay, so we'll just grab some straight turquoise. Go real slow around this edge. Now, I had a thought. If you live local and you are interested, this is like just coming to my brain. I did not really even give this any real thought. If you are local or willing to drive to the studio, drop me a comment, let me know, and we'll do a drawing. How about tomorrow? That way I give people a chance to watch the rebroadcast. Drop a comment. Let me know if you want it, and it's yours. I will totally give this away if you're interested. My little play piece here. So you just got to drop me a comment. Let me know if you're interested. And like I said, you got to be willing to come grab it from the studio. I'm not going to ship it, but so if you're local, drop a comment. Let me know if you're interested in this, and we'll do a drawing tomorrow. And whose ever name I pull up, it'll be yours. All right. Oh my gosh, guys, I think we almost hit it. Yes. There we go. All right. Okay. So I'm going in and putting just a little bit more turquoise just to finish hiding. Oh, we got to do the bottom, huh? That's something that I forget sometimes, and I'll tell you what, if you paint all your other sides and you forget the bottom, it stands out like a sore thumb. So don't forget your edges if you're doing your edges. All right. So now I'm going to sweep just a little bit more white in there, just so it's kind of blendy with the rest, right? Okay, but I'm not going to bring the white all the way around. And then what happens is it's darker at the bottom, so it almost looks like there's some shading down here, right? That would be cool. Okay, so I can still, you guys might not be able to see it, but I can still see some of the twigs that were in there earlier that I decided to totally get rid of. So now I'm going to go back and we're going to just do some more purple and some more blue. So we're going to do some white and purple because remember I said anytime you can add a little bit of white to your color, it's going to kind of hide some things that maybe you're wanting to hide. Remember, make these brush strokes different lengths. We don't want them to all be the same length. There we go. Nice long brush strokes. You want to think about following the curve of the pumpkin. Here we go. And I have like this middle section here, right? And then you've got the right section and the left section. So kind of follow those curves. Think about those as you're painting. I'm going to streak in a little darker down low so that it kind of goes along with the shading idea. There we go. Darker down low, sweep it up, just like flick that brush. Go. Darker down low. Now, if you needed to and you were doing something like this at home, you can blow dry. Put blow dryer between your colors, like between your layers. Totally blow dry, and then that will help if you don't want your colors to blend. But see, like the blue and the purple, I think that's totally cool if it blends because it gives you like an indigo, right? So blue and purple mixed together makes indigo, but blue and orange mixed together is going to give you brown. So you do have to kind of be careful with the colors that you're mixing. All right. Now, ooh, a little bit more turquoise. Ooh, yes. There we go. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I haven't like hardly cleaned this brush out hardly at all. I like to paint that way. I like to just grab colors. My brush is loaded. It's got purple and blues and turquoise. I just like to paint that way because it helps colors blend a little easier if you're wanting them to blend. Okay. So I think that's good down low. I think that really hides those vines that were on there initially. So remember, initially it had these vines down low, and then now they're gone. Okay. And then I feel like, let's see, what does it need, guys? I think it needs some more red. So I am going to go ahead and clean my brush because it's loaded up with cool colors. So like the turquoise and the blue and the purple. And now I will add some red in there. So I'm going to go in where like the grooves of the pumpkin would be, if it had grooves. I know it's flat, but we're trying really, really hard to bring some depth into this by, whoop, that line got thick, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to just sweep a little bit of red in here and there. Here we go. Okay. And maybe a few more pops of yellow. I left the red in my brush, so if it happens to blend a little, then it's okay because we know red and yellow makes orange. Here we go. Yes. This is screaming art. All right. Now I'm going to come in with some white, some pops of white, hitting the tops because, you know, if the sun was shining, there would be like a little glisten at the top of your pumpkins because they are like a semi-gloss, right? They're not matte finish, pumpkins aren't. They've got a little gloss to them. Here we go. All right. Kind of lost my outline there though. So this technique is like just loose and fun and not stressful and trying not to think too much. And every now and then, you know, step back a little, see what you're doing. All right. So the thumbnail to this video should be my original painting, hopefully. So you should be able to see what it looked like before and how now I have just completely transformed it. I love it. Okay, but there's still work to be done. All right, so we're gonna go in here, add our little curly cue back. Ooh, I don't think I got my brush dry enough. You gotta make sure you get your brush dry. Super soft touch. Now that's not super noticeable. So if I go in with some darker paint, there we go. All right. But just like we did up there, let's add like a little pop of white. Oop, come on. Now, if you have a heavy touch, one thing to think about is kind of use a smaller brush. Like, see, if I had a heavy hand, I could swap to this smaller brush and that would make my life a little bit easier to use that smaller brush versus the big one. Okay, so the last thing I think I want to do to this, I think, let's see, what if I add, let's just play, add a little bit of purple to my turquoise. What do we think? And then just put a little bit of that underneath. And I'm using the side of the bristles, not the tip. Just kind of sweep that in there. There, that creates just a little bit more shading at the bottom. And now, my friends, we have a very colorful and artsy pumpkin that started out very traditional. So like I said in the thumbnail, hopefully you guys can see, but this was the white version of the pumpkin before, but the pumpkin before had all of this. It's not there anymore. And the original one had leaves. Mine has flowers. And the one that was on here had a white background. I never painted the background, and now I've totally added a background. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's super fun, and I'm definitely gonna have to hang it up in the studio. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you guys have a super amazing, what is today? Friday Junior. So that means tomorrow's Friday. So I hope you have a super amazing Friday, a great weekend. Definitely check out our calendar, artsyrose.com. We've got lots of classes on there. And fall break. Yes, fall break is, holy Hannah, what, like 11 days? I think it's 11 days away. So definitely will have to check out our calendar if your kids are looking for something fun to do over fall break. But you guys enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. I'll be live again on Monday.